Indiana Hoosiers, Russ. Who do you want to kick it off with?
Well, firstly, we got to start with Mendoza because I think there's no doubt when you watch him physically, he can do what you want. He's got the arm to make all the throws. He's athletic. He can move within the pocket. He's had some great games this year. And then he's had a few duds. Like the Oregon game, he had a lot of throws that you said, woo, wow. So this to me is a great challenge for him. How well is he going to do versus a ferocious team that's just going to be coming after him? I can't wait to watch him. I think he's a very gifted quarterback. I want to see how he does now against a top-level team. I look at Indiana, and they've got a lot of good prospects on offense in terms of efficient guys. They make the play. When you're looking at their skill position guys, you have Surratt, the receiver, really good football player. Not that guy that I think is going to blow people away with his speed. I think he's a more quicker than fast guy. Doesn't drop balls. Almost 6'2", 210 pounds. Efficient guy. Seems to make the big catch whenever they need it. His running mate there, E.J. Williams, doesn't get much notoriety around the country. This kid's a good football player. Really a guy that sort of is a nice compliment to Surratt. And I love their tight end fullback, Nowakowski. This kid is a traditional old school. He's going to knock your head off as a blocker. Very competitive. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. Now, like a lot of old school traditional fullback tight ends, definitely a stiff guy. Definitely not somebody who's going to go dancing and making guys miss after the catch. But this is the type of guy you want on your team. The running back, Hemby, he's part of a two-headed sort of thing there. I like Hemby a little bit more. I think he's got a little bit more something to him. I think he's got a chance to be a late-round pick. Their offensive line is a bunch of hard-nosed, smart kids, and they have two seniors I think are going to get drafted. You have Pat Coogan, the center, big, tall kid, which is uncommon for a center, almost 6'5", 310. He's been sort of the captain guy, the leader of that pack. And then right tackle, Khalil Benson, guy that sort of came on this year, wasn't really looked at as a prospect entering the year. Almost 6'6", 320 pounds, 34.5-inch arms. He's played some guard in the past, so I think that position versatility is going to help him get drafted for sure. And I think a lot of where they've been successful, because obviously when you have Mendoza, your offense is going to look good as long as you keep them upright. But their defense has played very well this year, and it starts with their defensive line. You have Kamara, kid that doesn't look the part. He looks a little bit like a short, stocky dude at 6 foot, 260, and all the kid does is get to the quarterback, compete, pressure. Then Kellen Wyatt, the other kid, bigger, thicker bodied kid, taller kid. Those two guys off the edge, the Hosea Wheeler, very good interior player. I don't know if Wheeler's good enough athleticism-wise for a team's going to jump out and draft him. But when you watch this kid play, he can penetrate. He can make plays. He's disruptive. I really like what you get going on that front line. And my favorite player on their defense, I know everybody talks about D'Angelo Pounds, the little corner that they have, but I love, and we've talked about him a bunch, Aiden Fisher. I think this kid is one of the most underrated linebackers in the country. Yeah. When you watch Indiana on defense, this kid just flying around, making plays everywhere. I love this kid. I mentioned the kid Pounds. I know a lot of people are talking about this kid as a second rounder potentially. I just think in the end, he's going to have to be Superman to get drafted that high because corners that are 5'8" nowadays, teams shy way away from 5'8" corners because the game has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. They have two safeties, one sort of a rover type guy in Devin Boykin, and then Lewis Moore, their other safety. I think both these kids are probably PFA type guys fighting to get on the draft board. But when you look at Pounds and Boykin and Moore, that gives you a nice back end, Fisher control in the middle, and a good D line. I think Indiana's a good all-around team. I think they're going to make it hard for Ohio State today. I don't think Ohio State's going to be able to score at will. So I think it is going to be a close game, but it's going to be a challenge for Indiana.
Oh, no doubt about it. And you mentioned D'Angelo Pons. I do have trouble getting over that height, lack of height, I should say. One interesting side note in this matchup, and I'm sure at some point he'll be matched up on Jeremiah Smith, but the two actually played high school together. They were teammates. Oh, so that's one matchup to keep an eye on. You mentioned Pat Coogan. I think he has a real opportunity here going up against Caden McDonald, who is projected to be a first-round pick. Coogan's got an impressive resume dating back to his Notre Dame days. This is the biggest platform. If he could stymie McDonald today, I mean, Coogan has got to put himself up there with one of the top centers in this year's draft.
No doubt.
You mentioned the running backs. I literally go back and forth every time I go back to our Indiana prospect page, and I literally flip depending on the day of week who I like more between Hemby and Black. Hemby caught my attention over at Maryland. He's really running physical and hard this year. Between the tackles guy, I have him valued a little bit higher just because Kalen Black has a medical, and I don't know how much that's going to hurt him. But I think I like Black a little bit more just from an athletic standpoint. They're both around 5'10", 220 or so. But Black, man, he's going to run in the 4.4s.
He's a little twitchier.
Yeah, well, he was on the freaks list.
Yeah.
So he leaps 40 inches vertically. He bench presses 415. He squats over 500 pounds for a 5'9", 220-pound running back. I like that.
Yep, I do too. I mean, if you took us and we combined all our numbers, we might equal that. We might both be able to vertical like 19. Combine that, we're right there with Black. See?
Yeah, but I think that's the kind of guy when you get into the later rounds that I want to roll the dice on.
Oh, 100%. Right? I mean, the reality is, and you and I have done this for a long time, for those people out there who wonder, it's like when you get into the later rounds, you're either drafting elite production guys that may not have tested well, or you're taking testing freaks or guys that have fallen due to character and injury. You really don't want the guy who's been a decent producer, who has decent numbers, or a guy that has great athletic traits but has never even played in the game. You want the guy who's played a lot but maybe not been super productive, who's a freak of nature, or that uber productive. Those are your two people to gamble on. He's a perfect example of that. He's been productive, but he hasn't been the guy because they have another guy, and he's a freak of nature athletically. Those are the guys you roll the dice on because they have a chance at really exploding at the next level.
He's Russ Landy. I'm Rick Saratella.